Welcome back to our classroom. In today's video, we are going to look at how to factorize a trinomial and how to factorize expressions requiring two factoring methods. A trinomial is an expression of the form ax squared plus bx plus c. Before we begin factoring our trinomials, we need to answer this question. Expand and simplify 3x squared plus 2 times x plus 5. To simplify this expression, we need to write our 3x multiplied by x plus 5 and the 2 multiplied by x plus 5. Multiplying here gives us 3x squared plus 15x and 2x plus 10. These two terms are similar, so we can add them, and adding them gives us 17x, and we write back our 10, and that is our answer. In order to answer the question as to how we factorize a trinomial, we need to reverse this process. We need to do it in reverse. So let us write our question. Factorize 3x squared plus 17x plus 10. And looking at this question, we can see that the first thing that happened in the process, in going backwards, is that this 17x got split into two terms, 15x and 2x. So we need to split this 17x into two terms. But how do we know which two terms to choose? 17x could be broken up into many ways. How do we know exactly that we must choose 15x and 2x? Let us look a little bit at the general form of the expression ax squared plus bx plus c. The a term, the a in this expression is 3, and the c in this expression is 10. We start off by multiplying our a and our c. And sometimes this is called the AC method because of this. So we multiply the a by the c, which means we say 3 times 10 equal 30. Now we need to find some more pairs of factors that give 30. These are 30 times 1, 15 times 2, and 6 times 5. All these factors multiply to give us 30. Now we need to look at another condition. One of these pairs will add to give the 17x. And because this question has only positive numbers, we definitely are going to look for two numbers that only add to give 17. In questions that have a negative in one of the terms, we may also look at number pairs that subtract to give this middle term. So 17x can be broken down into 15x and 2x. Notice 15 plus 2 gives us 17, and 15 times 2 gives us 30. 6 times 5 gives us 30, but if we add 6 and 5, we will not get 17. Likewise, 3 plus 10 can give us, 3 times 10 can give us 30, but 3 plus 10 does not give 17. Only one pair of factors will work. And so the only pair that works is 15 and 2. So we are going to rewrite this 17x using 15 and 2, which means we are going to write 3x squared plus 15x plus 2x plus 10. At this point, we're now going to use factorization by grouping, which means we're going to group these two terms together and these two terms together. Our common factor here is 3x, so we're going to divide 3x squared by 3x. That gives us x. Then we're going to divide 15x by 3x. That gives us 5. The common factor here in this bracket is 2. We're going to divide 2x by 2. That gives us x. And we divide our 10 by 2 and we get 5. Notice that your brackets are the same, which is an indication that you're on the right track. Now we combine our outside factors And notice, by the way, that we are exactly at this step in the process going backwards. We take our outside factors and we write them together in one bracket, 3x plus 2, and write back the bracket x plus 5. And we have successfully factorized our trinomial 3x squared plus 17x plus 10. Let's look at some more examples. In this expression, 6y squared plus 13y minus 8, we need to multiply our a by our c. A is 6 and our c is negative 8. Because the c is negative 8, one of our numbers that we choose will need to be a negative number. So we multiply the 6 times 8. 6 times 8 gives us 48. We now want other numbers that can multiply to give us 48. These are 4 times 12, 48 times 1, 16 times 3. We can also use 24 times 2. All these numbers multiply to give us 48. But only one pair of numbers in this case can either add or subtract to give us 13. The only pair that will work is this pair, 16 and 3. So 16 times 3 gives us 48, and 16 minus 3 gives us 13. So we are going to rewrite this expression and use these two numbers to break this 13y into two pieces. So we have 6y squared. Instead of writing 13y, we break it into 2 and write 16y minus 3y minus 8. Now we are going to group and factor. So we put those two together and these two together. The common factor here is 2y. So we're going to divide our 6y squared by 2y, and we get 3y for the answer. Then we're going to divide our 16y by 2y. 2 into 16 goes 8. The y's will cancel out, and we get that for our answer. Looking at these two, there is nothing in common. We can use -1 since this first term is negative. 1 is a factor of all of these factors, of all these terms. So we divide our -3y by 1 by -1, we get a positive 3y, and we divide our -8 by -1, and we get a positive 8. Having gone that way, we can now write our outside factors in one bracket, 2y, take away 1, and write back the other bracket, 3y plus 8. We have factorized our expression. Now let's look at this one. In this question, our a is 6 and our c is -2. And because one of our terms here in this expression is negative, we will need to have one of our pairs of numbers, one of the numbers in the pair that we choose, to be negative. But first, let's multiply. 6 times -2 gives us -12. Let's ignore the negative for now and ask, what pairs of numbers multiply to give us 12 apart from 6 and 2? Well, there's 12 times 1, that gives us 12. And there's 4 times 3, which gives us 12. Now, the coefficient of this middle term is 1, positive 1. Looking at these numbers, which pair of these numbers can give us a 1? Well, the obvious answer is this one. If we say 4 take away 3, we can end up with a positive 1. So we are going to rewrite our 1x in terms of these two numbers, writing it as 6x squared plus 4x minus 3x minus 2. And notice that this 1x is broken now into 4x minus 3x. 4x minus 3x is still 1x. Now that we have done that, we are going to group and factor. The common factor here is 2x. So we take our 2x and we divide. 2x into 6x squared gives us 3x. And 2x into 4x gives us 2. Here, there is no common factor between these two, so we use 1, which is our universal factor. And negative 1 is used because this term is negative. Negative 1 into negative 3x gives us a positive 3x, and negative 1 into negative 2 gives us a positive 2. Notice again, the brackets are similar, so we can combine our outside terms. 2x minus 1 and 3x plus 2. These questions take a lot of practice to master, and as such, you need to find many other questions and practice with them. It also helps if you look at questions like this, where you write down two brackets, expand it, and then reverse it to see how it comes out. And that will give you confidence, seeing that you know what the process is and you know what your answer is. So let's look at some more examples. Here we have two letters instead of one letter. The questions in this section are just Y or X. Now in this question, we have two letters, P and Q. However, the process is still the same. We take our A, the A is 5, and our C is negative 2. So again, because we have negatives in the question, one of the numbers in our pair has to be negative. So let's start by saying 5 times 2 gives us 10, ignoring the negative for now. What other numbers give us 10? The only other combination of numbers that gives us 10 when we multiply is 10 times 1. Now, one of these pairs of numbers can give us negative 9. The obvious choice is this one. We can get negative 9 if we say 1 take away 10, which means we should rewrite our negative 9pq using this pair of numbers. So we're going to write our expression as 5p squared plus pq, that's 1pq, minus 10pq minus 2q squared. Now that we're here, we're going to group and factorize. The common factor here is p. So we write our factor and we divide. 5p squared divided by p gives us 5p. And pq, remember this is a 1, pq divided by p gives us q. Now, this is a minus, so our factor is going to take the sign of the minus. The common factor here, we can divide by 2 and we can divide by q. Negative 10pq divided by negative 2q, we see that our negatives cancel out. 2 into 10 gives us 5, and the q's cancel out, leaving us with 5p. Here we have negative 2q squared divided by 2q, negative 2q, which means negative 2 times q over negative 2q. The negatives cancel, the 2's cancel, and we're left with a single q. So our answer becomes, writing the outside factors together, p minus 2q and 5p plus q. Let's try that again with this question. Our A is 2 and our C is negative 15, which means again, one of the numbers in the pair that we choose is going to be negative. So we multiply 2 times 15, that gives us 30. Other numbers that multiply to give us 30 are 30 times 1, 10 times 3, and 6 times 5. With practice, you'll begin to find these pairs of numbers very easily. It helps if you know your multiplication tables. So 30 times 1 is 30, 10 times 3 is 30, and 6 times 5 is 30. Now we want to pick the pair of numbers that can give us negative 1, as the term here has a coefficient of negative 1, negative 1x. This pair of factors can give us that negative 1. It can give us a negative 1 if we say 5 take away 6 equal negative 1, which means that we're going to rewrite our negative x in terms of 5 and negative 6. So we rewrite our expression as 2x squared plus 5x minus 6x minus 15. And that 5x minus 6x will give us our negative 1x. And now that we're here, we simply group and factorize. So what's our common factor here? It is x. We write down our x and we divide 2x squared divided by x gives us 2x. 5x divided by x gives us 5. Here, the common factor is negative 3. So we divide 6x by negative 3, that gives us 2x, and we divide negative 15 by 3, and that gives us 5. Note again that your brackets should be the same. Our answer now is to combine our outside factors together, which is x take away 3, and write back our bracket. Like I said before, to master these questions and to factorize them quickly, you need to spend a lot of time practicing these questions. So find in your textbook or other places where you can get questions. You can go to csecmathtutor.com. There are many questions there for you to practice with. Or you can use your textbook. You can also look online. Get those questions and practice with them so that you can become skilled at working them. It will take some time if you're new to it, but as you work, your confidence will grow, and so will your skills as you factor them. Now we're going to consider some other questions that have some other techniques that are needed to factor. So let's look at this question. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 parts, and immediately it looks like you can factor it by grouping. So let's try to factor it by grouping. You would write down x squared with the minus 4x when you reorganize it, and minus y squared with the plus 4y. So we have organized it. Now let's try to factor it out. X can be the common factor here, and we divide x squared divided by x, we get x, and minus 4x divided by x, we get minus 4. In this part, we use a minus y, so negative y squared divided by negative y gives us a y, and positive 4y divided by negative y gives us a minus 4. We check our brackets, and you realize that we have a problem. The brackets are not the same, and we have not made any mistakes. That is an indication that something is wrong with the method of factoring. So let's look at it again. Rewriting the question, x squared minus y squared minus 4x plus 4y cannot be completed by using grouping. Instead, we must split this question into two parts. This part, which is the difference of two squares, and this part using the HCF. So squares and HCF. Factorizing this section using the difference of two squares, we end up with opening two brackets. The square root of x squared is x, and the square root of y squared is y. You make one bracket plus, and you make one bracket minus. Now, factoring this section out, we notice that negative 4 is our common factor. Well, 4 is our common factor, but because this term is negative, we use negative 4. And negative 4 into negative 4x gives us a positive x, and negative 4 into positive 4y gives us a negative y. Now look at the expression. We have three brackets, x plus y, x minus y, and minus 4 bracket x minus y. These two brackets are the same. So we are going to factor out this common bracket. So let's write it by itself, x minus y. When we factor out that bracket from here and here, what we're left with is x plus y and minus 4. And those go into the other bracket. And that there is our answer. You may need to practice a lot more of these. In this question, we notice that we have a trinomial in the bracket and an expression outside. So we need to factorize first, since we are told that this bracket part need to be done first. Let's do the bracket part first. So we have a is 2 and the c is minus 1. The coefficient here is minus 1. So we say 2 times 1 gives us 2. And we need to rewrite our factor in terms of this because it is the only pair that we have. Because one of our numbers is negative, then because our y here is negative, one of these two numbers must be negative. So we're going to say, all right, in order to get a 1 here, we need to subtract 1 from 2. So we say 2 take away 1 gives us 1. And that is how we can get a positive 1 right here in the middle. So we are going to rewrite this section as 2x squared plus 2xy minus xy. That takes care of the bracket. And plus 2x minus y at the end, this part. Oh, I left off the y squared, minus y squared. Now let's group them. I probably should write it over. Let me write it over. So we have 2x squared plus 2xy from this one minus xy minus y squared, and then we write that part of the expression plus 2x minus y. Now we are going to group these two together, those two together, and those two together. The common factor here for this section is 2x. So we factor using our 2x. 2x squared divided by 2x gives us an x, and a positive 2xy divided by 2x gives us y. Here, the common factor is minus y. We can divide our minus xy by minus y, that gives us a positive x, and this minus y squared divided by a minus y gives us a plus y. Now let's put these in brackets. We have the outside factors 2x minus y in bracket, and we have the other bracket x plus y. Now these two don't have anything in common, so we can just use our universal factor of 1 to write it as a product. What do we have in common? This bracket and this bracket are exactly the same. Because they are exactly the same, we can write that bracket down and factor it out. Now, when we take that bracket out of this expression, what we have left is this bracket, x plus y, and that number, 1. This now is the answer to this expression. Let's continue. What about this expression? How do we factorize something like this? Well, first we can write this out. What does x minus y squared mean? It means x minus y times x minus y. And write this down, minus x plus y. Now, if we are supposed to factorize the end part of this, we can use minus 1 as our factor and write x, negative 1, negative x divided by negative 1 gives us an x, and positive y divided by negative 1 gives us minus y, which gives us x minus y, and minus 1 into x minus y. We can factor out x minus y. So if we factor out x minus y from here and here, then what we have left with is this bracket and that number. That now is our answer to the factorization of this expression. In this question, we use a similar technique. We do not multiply it out. All that we do is we write back this part of the expression, x plus 3, x minus 2, and factor out this part using the common factor a. Now, when we factor the a from here, ax divided by a gives us x, and 3a divided by 2 by a gives us 3. Now look at your expression, and once you look at it, you realize that two brackets are the same. This one is exactly the same as this one. So we write our first bracket, x plus 3. Once we have written down our first bracket, we realize that if we take it out from both parts, from here and here, we are left with this part of the expression and that a. So we have x minus 2 and a, positive a. This now is the answer to our factoring. So questions like these require more than one method, and we cannot just look at it and factor them directly as we factor the trinomials. These take some more time, and as you prepare for your exam, you need to look at a wide variety of questions. I have included in this video a wide variety of questions for you to consider. You will not know which one the CXC will put on the paper. So, as the student, it is in your best interest to practice as widely as possible. Find as many questions as possible that you can, and take your time, be patient with yourself, and learn the technique. Do many questions, practice hard, and your confidence and your skills will improve. I hope by watching this video, you would have learned how to factorize a trinomial, and you would have gathered some experience about how to factor questions like these, which do not look so straightforward. Thank you for watching. Continue to work hard as you prepare for your exams.